Hello brothers and sisters, welcome to another episode here on Dangerous African Confessions HD. In this episode, we have the continuation of the story by our brother, who was telling us about how armed robbers asked him to sleep with his mother-in-law when he had gone for her to come and help her daughter who was pregnant. Sometimes in life tragedies do happen. And this goes a long way to change or shape our realities. Sometimes some of the things that do happen to us we do not have any control or whatsoever over it. It just does happen and there is nothing that you can do about it. That is exactly what today's episode is all about. Without wasting much of your time, please let us go and listen to the story.
These people, after stopping us, asked for our monies and everything. When after they didn't get enough money on us, because I didn't take the money from the customers in cash. You will have to deposit money in our account, or better still give it to the delivery van people so that they can make accounts. After taking the little that was on me and realized they didn't get enough, my mother-in-law was asked to remove her clothes. At first I thought they wanted to rape her, so I was begging for them to stop. One of them gave me a heavy slap. And after making her go completely naked, they then turned to me and asked me to also remove my clothes. This was when they then told me sleep with her or else they will kill the both of us. Sleeping with my own mother-in-law. This was something very difficult for me to do. I tried to resist at first, but the fear of them killing us, my mother-in-law also came in and begged me to do what they are asking us to. So, I slept with my her in the middle of the road whilst they were watching us. After I was done, one of them also wanted to have his way with her, but one of them, who I believe was their leader, asked him to stop. The guy looked at me and my mother-in-law for a while and he asked me to go again for another round. This is when my mother-in-law went on the ground as she cries out bitterly on top of her voice. I also joined her and began to beg them to not make me continue with that. It was too much for me. The guy I was talking to slapped me and asked me if I wanted him to do me bad. He then started removing his belt and asked me to bend down for him to take me from the behind if I would not go ahead and sleep with her again. Not knowing what to do again, I decided to allow him to take me from the back, because I was not ready to really go ahead and sleep with my in-law again. Just as he was about to go ahead with it, we heard a siren of a police car that was coming towards our end. This scared them and they rushed into the bush. This gave us the chance to rush into our car and hurriedly drove away from the place. When we got to a nearby town, I stopped and made her dress well in the car whilst I got down. When after she was done, she also got down with tears all over her eyes. She hugged me and told me that she was very sorry that this thing had to happen. I told her that I am the one to say sorry to her because she is equally my mother now, and what has happened, I do not know what to do going forward. She asked me to go inside and drive the car. On our way, she said to me that I am a man of the house now, and I should always decide what is good or wrong for the house. I asked her what she meant by that. She said that she wanted me to know what to tell my wife and what not to tell her, because not everything that women can take. She said that women act a lot with emotions, and the thing that you might think that telling her will bring peace, it might cause a lot of problems for you in the end. So, she begged me not to mention this incident to her daughter, my wife. Because to her, she wouldn't know how to look at her daughter if she gets to know that I have also seen her mother's nakedness. It sounded convincing, and so, I promised her that I would not discuss anything about the incident with my wife. But then I will have to tell her that armed robbers really attacked us, looking at the way my face was swollen. This she agreed to, but asked me to take away the part that I slept with her. That was going to be our little secret. This was something I was going to hold on to without being able to voice out to my wife. We talked about practically everything. This was going to be the first time I was going to hide something significant from her. But this is my mother-in-law, who is telling me not to disclose something that she is not comfortable with to my wife, who also happens to be her daughter. This I had no choice than to respect her and keep my promise. So, when we came home and my wife saw me, she was worried looking at my face. So, my mother-in-law narrated everything that happened to her but left out what happened between us at the order of the robbers. By this time of my wife's life, the sicknesses were too much and so, she had asked for a leave from her workplace. She felt so sorry and she started saying that she was responsible for all that. I told her to stop that. She said if it wasn't for her pregnancy and the fact that she needed her mother to be here, I wouldn't have gone there for this to happen. When I look at my mother-in-law's face then, I feel bad about this whole thing. And then when I see my wife's face too, I feel like she deserves to know the whole truth. So, I was really going through a lot deep inside of me. Everything was not easy for me at all. I started to think of the consequences of sleeping with my wife and at the same time having slept with her mother. Even though this wasn't my own intentions, I still have done that, so I started thinking about it. This couldn't stay in my head forever. I needed to take it out and see if I can have a solution to it. I couldn't tell my wife. So, I told my friend about the whole incident and how my in-law is saying I shouldn't tell my wife about it. My friend was worried for me and he told me that, if it were to be him, he would have made his wife promise him for not doing anything bad. After which he would tell her the exact thing that had happened. I told him about my mother-in-law not wanting me to tell my wife what happened and I have made a promise to her too. This he became confused. I told him that I wanted to come and stay with him in his house for a while to be able to clear my head. He didn't agree to it, because to him, his house is my house, but this time, I needed to be in the house to face the situation each day as it comes. In about a month after the incident, my wife's younger sister had finished her exam, so she too came to be with her sister. One very morning, my wife had gone to the hospital together with her sister and I went to check on the business. I returned home and my wife had not returned. My mother-in-law called me into his room and told me something that shook my heart. She told me that she was pregnant. And the reason that she is telling me is that it is as a result of what happened between us on the road. I knew there was a problem coming. So I asked her what we're going to do. She then told me something that my wife had told me earlier when we were dating. I remember my wife then my girlfriend told me that she preferred for me to use condom whenever we were making love. The reason that she gave was that, in their family when you get pregnant, either as a married woman or in a relationship, you cannot abort it. Because the day you try that, you will lose your life. So never has she heard of anyone in their family done an abortion before. This is exactly what my mother-in-law also is telling me, that she cannot have an abortion. Because if she tries that, she was going to die. I knew I was in a deep mess. What was I going to tell my wife when it becomes evident that I am the father of the child? And if it wasn't intentional, why did I not tell her the whole story but left out that very important part? Questions upon questions started popping up in my head. I didn't know what to do again. I simply asked her, so what are we going to do about it? She looked at me in the face and told me that she is very sorry but she can't do anything about it than to give birth to my child. How could my wife and my mother-in-law be pregnant for me at the same time? What at all am I going to say? Nothing was important to me again. I didn't care for food nor I even cared to go to work. My wife started to get worried and wanted to really know what was going on with me. She even called my friend to ask him if I have told him anything with regards to the reason why I was in that state. My friend called me and we met at a joint and I gave him the shocking news of his life. I told him everything about what my mother-in-law told me and the reason why she wouldn't go for abortion. He now to appreciate the reason why I was in that state. He then told me that it is better I tell my wife the whole truth myself than to wait for the thing to come out. That way, he said, will be difficult to explain for her to believe or trust what I am saying. But you know, brother, it was very difficult for me to go to my wife and tell her that I had slept with her mother and on top of it, she is pregnant for me. I simply couldn't do it. My mother-in-law fell sick and everything we did, she wasn't getting okay. The thing is that, whenever her test is done, she will always tell the doctors not to reveal her pregnancy to her daughter. To her, she just wanted to give birth without bringing the issue out whilst she was still in our house. So, when she came home, she told my wife and I that she wanted to go back home to try some herbal medicines to see if she would be okay. She said that, since my wife's younger sister was around, she could help my wife in everything. But then as soon as she see improvement in her health, she will return to take care of my wife. It sounded good, and so I took her to the station and she went back to their hometown. At the station, before she boarded the bus, she told me the main reason why she is going is to prevent any problems for me and my wife. I still didn't feel okay even when she was gone. Because there was this thing still there and she was going to give birth anyway. Who is the father, and when the truth comes out, what will I do? Some weeks after she left for their hometown, she fell really sick, and the traditional healer she was taken to told her that if she does not reveal whatever truth she is hiding, she might not survive it. She called me and told me what was happening. And so, at this point in my life, I had to come to terms that I had to tell my wife everything. So, that very evening, I told my wife the whole story again and added what her mother took out. This was something huge for me to drop on her in this period, but I had no choice now. I hated it so badly to see her cry the way she did that evening. Her sister wanted to know what was going on, but I told her everything would be fine and so she shouldn't worry. My wife in the morning didn't say anything to me, and when I talked to her she does not respond to any of that. That day, she told her sister to pack her things as well as my wife's own. When I returned home that evening, they were not in the house. My wife had left just like that. I was calling her and no one was answering her phone. Her sister's number too, she wasn't answering it. I called my mother-in-law and asked her if her daughter was there. She told me no and wanted to know what was going on. I told her that I had finally gathered courage to tell my wife about the incident, and that is why I can't find her. A day after she left the house, she texted me that she does not want to have anything to do with me ever again in her life, and that I should prepare to grant her a divorce because she is going to court. I still want calling her mother to see if she had gone there so I could go there. But her mother had not even seen her. So it was about a week that I was served with a divorce letter from the court, and this was the end of everything for me. I couldn't believe that this thing was happening to me. I sent her several messages to let me explain myself better to her. But then one evening she called me and asked me a very simple question that I couldn't answer. She asked me that if she was to come back, what will I call her mother's child she is carrying if she gives birth? And also, how will my wife refer to that child? Will she call the child her sibling or her child? She said if I told her from the beginning, she would have known how and what to do. But if I could hide such a thing from her all this while, then she doesn't feel safe staying with me. She said that she doesn't have any problem with her mother, because she understands why her mother would decide to keep it. But not me, who is her husband. I should have at least told her. Brother, this is my situation now. I am trying to get her to calm down so we can solve this problem, but then it seems she is made up her mind. I have even gone to her hometown to see some of her elders who her mother has now told them about the incident. They are too, because they don't want the case to be out there to cause shame to the mother and the whole family. They are also trying to meet up with her and talk to her. Please brother, what should I do? I need help. If she finally goes for the divorce, I might end it all.
Please kindly subscribe, share and like our videos. Kindly hit the notification bell so you will be the first to get notification to our videos when we upload. Like I always say, these are not just stories for story's sake. They are meant for us not to make these mistakes our brothers and sisters are making. That's why we share these stories with you. Whether he did the right thing or not for not telling the wife, I will not say it here. But please, a brother needs our advice. Help us so to know if there is a way they can resolve their problem. I don't want to say much about it now, because I am really sad at the turn of events. Let us be very careful with the kind of life that we live and how we do not take our safety seriously. One thing is that, in these most African countries, when you drive at night it is very risky and dangerous. Because, on our highways, there are not lights and no police command units on our roads protecting the civilians who are going about their ways. This makes them vulnerable at the sight of these wicked and cruel people who we find ourselves mixed with. We must as a people start to demand a lot from the people that we have voted for into power to do what is right for the very people who voted them into power. And please, let us try to avoid the night travels unless it is so much serious that you cannot wait till the daytime to embark on that journey. I cannot judge anyone here, but please let us hear your comments and advice on the comment section below. I pray that we learn from some of these stories and live a better life. If not for anything at all, it pays to live a decent and better life. Stay blessed and be safe. Thanks for being a part of this growing family. Kindly share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. And if you are new here, please subscribe, like and share.